Well, welcome to From Domain to Profit. I am back at home base here in my office in Cincinnati, Ohio, after a couple weeks at home. So I get to bring it today. By bringing it, I'm talking marketing funnels in particular. And I think here on Domain to Profit, we need to talk about marketing more. Because ultimately, if you want to get customers, it's so much more than developing out a website. It's building a business, getting people to use it, getting those customers to find your business. So we're going to be discussing that as well as what we do every week. We look at some of the domains that are available this week at auction that you can buy that you can then develop your business and your life on. So if you would, say hi in the chat, and I will see you on the other side of the open.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Walsh and get started right now.
So welcome. Michael, see you here. Thank you for the comment and saying hi. Ian, nice to have you here with us. Lee, nice to chat with you over on Twitter prior to the show, and thanks for joining me as you often do from the other side over there in that far away land of the UK, right? If I'm not mistaken. So, and Matt, thanks for checking us out as well. So I'm back here in the office here. I'm pretty much, it's me and my wife sitting over at a desk back there, kind of like home, but 5-6 miles down the street, and no one's here right now because, well, since I had COVID a few weeks ago, everybody's like scared to like come, even though we got tons of space. Anyhow, makes sense. So let me see. We have a lot of good stuff, and by the end of this show, I'm hoping that no matter where it is that you are in your journey from developing a domain name into a business, we'll have some good stuff for you. I'm hoping that we will be able to really dive into both the basics of what it is that we're talking about on From Domain to Profit, which is taking a domain name and turning it into a business. But then we're going to look at marketing funnels. So this idea of turning strangers that are out on the internet into both your customers and those who are active in your community. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit. What I want to do, though, is I want to take some time to kind of reiterate, before I do my first 3-minute business plan, which I usually start with, I want to talk about the basics of what it is that we do and go back to this graph here, which I show pretty frequently, which is this idea that we have a domain name, and many people will try to take that domain name, and one of the ways you can make money from it is to buy low, sell high, just like real estate. We say that internet, that domains are the real estate of the internet. So you can buy and sell it just like real estate, which many people do. There's lots of people in my community that do this here. They, buy a domain name, few $100s, and then they, will sell it for thousands or more money ultimately. And so I've sold domains. I've managed to make quite a bit just by buying low, selling high as well. But there's always more to what I'm looking to do, and that is this here. So let me go over back to the graph. So a lot of people are intimidated by the idea of development because they view it as this. They have to take this domain name, use it as a foundation to build some giant corporate business. So, any .com that you've kind of heard developed, these startups that end up worth $1 billion or whatnot, it doesn't matter what their domain name is, because ultimately they build a giant business on top of it. And so, a lot of times this also answers the question of, well, what if my domain name, what if the domain name I have is maybe on a .net, a .org, or it's just not the premium domain name? Well, you can develop a business on any domain name. It's all blank real estate. It just is a matter of what we're talking about specifically here. Ideally, are those generic keyword-dense domain names that have a sense of this here authority. They can provide value. They have all these domains are going to have potential, but the keyword specific domain name is going to have even more potential. And then scarcity, this idea that lots of people are going to want the specific domain name that you have. And the better the domain name, the more scarce it is, the more important it is that others want to get involved right from the get-go. So scarcity is a big piece, and that's something I've added to kind of make sure that I'm more specific. So we don't want to develop, you can develop this up here, but more importantly, what we try to do on this show is tap the domain name to just monetize the authority, the value, the potential, the scarcity that comes from having that domain name. All we're trying to do is tap it, so over time we can make withdrawals. Make sense, right? That's pretty much what it is. It's what I've done with towing.com. It's what I've done even on non-premium domains like Transport Reviews. I take a domain name, develop it in such a way that we can, have authority and then pull a monthly income out of that. So why a monthly income in particular, we'll talk about more in a little bit. But I want to talk about our first 3-minute business plan. Let's see this first opportunity that's available this week. So I get to do the setup. The 3-minute business plan is this over here, which you can download from that URL down there. And basically it is the framework that we try to stick to, more or less, that takes us from a domain name down to the authority that we kind of talked about, what the purpose of the domain is, that authority, and then how would we get the awareness, which is going to be the marketing funnel that we're going to talk about here in a little bit as well. So you can download this 3-minute business plan and follow along, use it on your own domain names, and it's going to talk about the problem and the solution that we're going to be talking about or trying to figure out. That's what we spend our time on, is what does this domain name, what problem can we solve for the market that the domain name represents? The best way to do it is to dive into it. So here we go. We're going to do our first 3-minute business plan, and we're going to start with the big one. We don't typically do a lot of expensive domain names, but realistically, we have some expensive domains this week. We have everything, I think, all the way from this one here, $5,000 currently at auction, all the way down to $12 currently. This one is over on GoDaddy. It's juicecleanse.com. And actually, let me read off real quick the domain names that will have this kind of... we might get around to rentaflat.com, roastedcoffeebeans.com, SEOdigitalagency.com, metabolizing.com, keeptraveling.com isn't going to make the cut, but I'll mention keeptraveling.com, and then juicecleanse.com, which is the one that we're talking about right now. So those are some of the domains that I found out there in the hundreds of thousands of domains that are going to be available at auction this week, and those are going to be the ones that we're going to go over a few of them. So juicecleanse.com, we're going to start the clock, 3-minute business plan. So the domain name is juicecleanse.com, which right from the get-go, if we're talking juice cleanses, who are the people that are going to need juice cleanses or want juice cleanses? I'd say health nuts. Not just like normal healthy people. I think the people that really get into juice cleanses are going to be kind of the health nuts. Those who are looking to do something extreme, especially over, and this is what's going to actually help us with our business idea here, is juice cleanses are going to be people that are looking for something over a short period of time. You don't do cleanses for months. You do it for a week, or to get ready for a specific event, or to maybe after New Year's Eve, maybe you've drank too much, ate too poorly, you want to do some kind of cleanse. A juice cleanse might be that. So there are all kinds of juice cleanses out there. In fact, let's try to go over to the screens and let's see what SEM Rush says. Okay, that is showing up. I got rent a flat up there, or rent a flat, yes. Juice. I got to spell cleanse right. I spelled it wrong when I was first setting it up because, as usual, I'm a horrible speller. So here is why this domain name is going for so much money. 90,000 exact keyword searches for juicecleanse.com, or for juice cleanse. 90,000 searches in the United States alone. Look at this here. We don't see these numbers typically on the domains we talk about, mostly because we try to keep them on the cheap side. But if you have the money and you're especially interested in health, fitness, maybe you... anyhow, so here we go. This is why we have the awareness, we have the opportunity in the exact match keyword domain name. And a shout out to Peter Askew, who I saw this on. He mentioned it before I did. Anyhow, so juicecleanse.com. The problem is people want juice cleanses. The downside is a lot of juice cleanses I see are word of mouth. There's no backing behind it. There's a lot of times there's not even official products behind it. So, well, let's start to pull all that information together so people can participate in juice cleanses and actually share their experiences, their information. I think this is a community build. Of course, if you have a product and you want to sell a juice cleanse, maybe there's one that you, maybe you're a Beachbody coach or one of these different, multi-level marketing places. Anyhow, Metabolites or those kind. A lot of those companies have juice cleanses, and if you really want to go at that community, boom, right here, juicecleanse.com. I imagine it's going to go for significantly more. I would expect it to get up to about $9,000 or more for this domain name. So you got to, of course, make sure that it's worth it. And our time's running over. But, okay, so juicecleanse.com. Problem is community build to sell the product. I love membership sites, and I would steer it there. This is one I'd like to spend more time on. I'm not going to, though, because I'm not going to buy juicecleanse.com. Maybe coffee cleanse? Is there a coffee cleanse? There should be a coffee cleanse. So I'm kind of, how would you develop it out? It's always a thing. So nice thing about this show, and part of why we do it, is as much about developing out our own domain names. It's as much about coming up with the idea. What ideas are coming to mind? What can you apply to the domain names that you already own? And, so as we talk about 3-minute business plans, even if you already are kind of like me, I have hundreds of domain names backlogged ready to develop. Well, you can at least use these to kind of get those idea engines going. So hopefully that makes sense. And juicecleanse.com. That was our first 3-minute business plan. So what I talked about a little bit with this over here are kind of the basics of what we try to do here on From Domain to Profit is turn domains into businesses. We concentrate mostly on this idea of tapping a business and pulling money over time. So I mentioned there's a reason why we do that. Primarily that's a choice of lifestyle. We dive into lifestyle a little bit, but for me, the lifestyle I've chose is supported by this kind of business model, this idea of having a domain name that makes some money each month. I was talking, we were tweeting out prior to the show. I was tweeting with Vito. He's possibly here watching. Yep, Vito's there. Here we go. I'll give the shout out to the hey there. So I was chatting with Vito and Lee, and Vito asked about products specifically. And a lot of times, and I told him I don't really do much with products. The reason I don't do much with products is because it's not, it's hard to get this consistent drip to the value and the money that we're pulling out of here. Ultimately, our drip when you are selling a product is whenever you sell a product. If your website's down and you don't get a chance to sell a product, you don't get that drip. You don't get that consistent money that comes through. For me, I don't pursue those because I want that consistent drip more than I want, maximum amount of sales. I leave a lot of money on the table with what I do. Kind of back to this over here. I don't try to, if you're doing this business, if you're really putting this effort in to develop out a business, this is you trying to maximize every dollar. Now, the only thing is just all the effort that has to go into this, you really have to be interested in starting a business. You have to be interested in running a business. For me personally, I want to run as small of a business with as much of an impact as possible, with as small of a community as possible. So it's a matter of lifestyle. In fact, one of the things with me is I pay myself as little as possible. I don't my lifestyle. I just read recently that somebody said that one of the ways that you can kind of retire is to have passive income that is over and beyond the burn rate of your life. So if you're spending money, your burn rate in business, it might be a burn rate or your cash out. If your income is more than that, then you're practically retired. And that's how I have felt for such a long time, mostly because I keep my burn rate down. My lifestyle doesn't require lots of money coming in. Now, so yeah, hopefully that makes sense. You have to align your why. If your goal is to be, a lot of people want to make a lot of money, but realistically, what they're after is freedom. They're after what I already feel I have, which is the freedom to do what I want, when I want, from where I want. Like it's retirement. There's freedom there. So if you think about more of what it is that you're wanting from life, the idea of what you're wanting from your lifestyle to be, what kind of trips do you go on? Do you enjoy? What would add? If you can come up with that, then you can kind of get to this point to where you are, what's your monthly income need to be forever? Now, here's the thing about my domain developments. My domains will provide this income nearly forever. There's not an end date. There's not some kind of end date that is known for what my domains do. In fact, right now we have 8 people that work at this company. I have four or five. Basically, half of us work on maintaining and serving the existing 1,000+ customers that we have. That's it. Like 4 or 5. There's not much that happens. Most of the salaries, most of the people work towards developing new businesses. Like most of my time, all my time really goes towards new businesses. Life choice. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. I said I was going to go off on a little bit of a rant on why, because I think the why is important. So in case of Vito, he has some domains that he's interested in developing that are specifically product based. So we're going to talk about the next 3-minute business plan is going to be a product based, and you can sell the product, you can make the product. My degree is in transportation and logistics, and I can tell you there's so much that goes into selling, shipping a physical product that I think the business I'm going to talk about is one way to take a product domain, but avoid all the logistics and supply chain that go with that idea. So it'll make more sense here in a minute, because we're going to do our next 3-minute business plan, which is going to be, you can probably guess based on the list that I talked about, it's going to be this one over here. Roasted coffee beans. Roastedcoffeebeans.com. On that note, I'm going to start the 3-minute timer. We'll get going. Up. All these fancy buttons to push. Got to push them at the right time, otherwise things go wrong. This one's over on GoDaddy Auctions. $12 currently. It will go a little bit higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to the screen while we get going, and I'm going to check out some keywords. Roasted coffee beans. So with this in our 3-minute business plan, our audience is going to be those who are buying roasted coffee beans, especially those who want to buy from independent coffee roasters. Back just out of college, I always kind of wanted to own a coffee shop, and I was like, oh, if I'm going to run a coffee shop. So as you can see over here on SEMrush, there's good keywords, 5,000, over 5,000 keyword exact match searches, coffee bean roaster, 5,000. There's some good keyword action happening on this domain name. Well, out of college, I wanted to run a coffee shop, and I wanted to not just do a coffee shop. I wanted to buy the raw beans and roast them myself, and then I sell off the beans. There's a lot. Needless to say, I didn't, because my why said the idea of being day in, day out tied to that counter, creating coffee, and roasting beans sounds great for a short period of time, not for a lifetime. So I nix that. But there's all kinds of people out there that love roasting coffee. They take the raw beans, buy them from Guatemala or Venezuela or whatever, and they want to, create better product than Starbucks themselves, and they roast their own beans. Well, a lot of those companies, a lot of those people sell their beans through their coffee shops. Well, if you want to sell more of I think it would be great to have a roastedcoffeebeans.com be a marketplace for products. Now, the question is, yes, we could roast our own coffee beans and sell them, handle the logistics, the shipping, the product, the price, like all that goes into selling roasted coffee beans. But instead of selling and being involved in that product ourselves, what we can do is allow all those passionate people that are passionate about roasted coffee beans to post their products for sale. And now we create a comparison of all those who sell roasted coffee beans, and now their passion shows up in a community through this site. And now we can start to, hopefully make a monthly fee based on them kind of buying their booth space on our website. So we've taken this product, we've taken those who are passionate about it and given them space to share their passion on a domain name that has scarcity, has authority in that industry, can bring them value through the development that we've done. So, Vito, you kind of asked, talk about more about, products, and that's more or less the route that we try to go here is I love roasted coffee. You possibly love the domain name that you have that's dealing with the product. And I'd be curious to know what domain it is. If you share it in the comments, I can, kind of maybe talk specifically about it. But unless you're passionate about the product and you're already involved in it, whatever that might be, it's better to share that domain name with those who are passionate about it. You're not only using that domain name to help those who really would value that domain name even more than you, but you're also allowing yourself to create that lifestyle of monthly or weekly or annual income for yourself, which hopefully will ramp up to the point that you're able to have the lifestyle that you want. So what we talk about is very much passive business. We're talking, it's called passive income. It's the idea that your businesses are making you money while you sleep. You don't have to put the work into it. That's what we're after here on From Domain to Profit, not necessarily trying to create giant empires. I want my business to grow without me being involved. That's realistically what it is. Like, that's what we're hoping to talk about here specifically. So, well, there you go. Hopefully, I'm glad you got something out of that, Vito. I'll just kind of mention this here, just share out the comments. So there you go. There you go. Thanks for the questions, and we'll dive more into this. And I mentioned to Vita that at some point we'll start to Zoom people in and do interviews and have conversations on here. I've not been that ambitious with setting up the tech, but we can do that. Like, I want to do that, so we'll start to orchestrate that. So, okay, that was 3-minute business plan, and we talked a little bit about passive income. So one of the things that goes along with passive income is going to be, how do you get your customers, right? How do you get your customers? A lot of times I end our 3-minute business plans. Let me go back to the setup screen. I'll show you this. So down here under the the awareness over there, a lot of times when we're launching our business, I'll say something along the lines of, as far as awareness, how you're going to get your customers, you get on the phone and you call 100 people a day until you get enough customers to get things going, which is true. That is something you can do, is do that to get your awareness. However, especially as you get going, you'll find that a lot of what you're doing is common. Like, you're doing the same things over and over. You're saying the same things over and over to very similar people. And you found a market, and you found your unique selling proposition, basically the value that you can communicate to the person you're talking to. And it starts to feel repetitive. And what you'll find is who's the best salesperson in your organization? It's going to be you, the product creator. Well, we can put together a bit of a marketing funnel. So a marketing funnel is this idea of communicating to a market, targeted people under any number of different ways of targeting. Let me draw a marketing funnel. I just feel like I need to draw a marketing funnel. Here we go. So you've probably seen this idea of a marketing funnel. It is the idea of taking the public. It's called top of funnel, bottom of funnel. And it's the idea that out here is the whole web. All these people reside out in the interwebs, just randomly faceless people. Well, there's certain different characteristics that these people might have that would look a lot like those who are our customers. So, for example, maybe it's if you're selling juicecleanse.com, for example, you're going to have health conscious people that like fad diets, probably certain ages, probably certain gender, all kinds of different characteristics about this here. And those people might be maybe the people that are buying your product have researched certain websites. Maybe they follow certain pages on Facebook or Instagram, or they watch certain YouTube videos. And you basically just make a list of all the different things that your customers are going to look like. Now, if you don't have any customers, of course, you might be making guesstimates at the beginning. But you just list out all the different things you know or think you know about the customer that you have. And then you start to target those people out here in the this area, the interwebs, the internet. So you're running YouTube videos targeting those people, Facebook ads targeting these people. And what we start to do is we start to advertise. We use ads to reach these people to hopefully start to pull them into what is called a funnel. So the idea of the funnel is we have ads that run that hopefully will qualify somebody. So by qualifying, I'm saying we ran an ad out to this giant YouTube audience, and the ad was saying, are you having trouble getting rid of your holiday weight? Well, juice cleanses are the way that you can do it. So I will share. I don't want to go too deep on this, but this top of funnel, you deal with the problem. Oh my goodness. Can I spell problem? Okay. At the top of the funnel, you're dealing with the problem. So when you're trying to find these people, you're saying things like, you talk about the problem. Are you dealing with, added weight loss, or have you put on a few extra pounds over New Year's? Well, juicecleanse.com compares all the juice cleanses from a bunch of different health places for you to do. Actually, focus on the problem. Or do you have extra pounds? Well, come here. We'll give you a free guide to losing those extra pounds with a simple juice cleanse. Something along that, based on the problem. And what you're trying to do is pull these people in. You're trying to find, you're casting a fishing rod out into the world, and you're reeling them in, and they're self-choosing to participate in your community. So this is top of funnel up here. Then as you move down here, you have solutions. And the solution is going to deal with the idea of, so this is going to be like, what solutions do you have for your audience? And then down here, you get into your product. So this is like product demos. This would be you showing around your website, connecting their problem, their solution to your product, and showing them how it would use a lot of testimonials, a lot of before and afters, and specific to a juice type thing. I tried juicecleanse.com and lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks or something like that. So, okay. I love Drew rants. So basically, hopefully you've kind of seen a funnel. If you Google, you'll find all kinds of people that have kind of talked about this process a little bit better than me. Well, a lot better than me. There's people that teach this stuff for a living. For the most part, I just do it. So the goal that we're after with this is we're trying to put ads in the right place, communicating the right things to draw people to the top of our funnel. I mean, we want them to be our customers, but there's multiple steps that most of us will go through in that idea, from watching a YouTube commercial all the way down to becoming a customer of a company. And that's the funnel. And it's shaped like a funnel because at the top we have a lot of people, and then they self-select, they self-qualify themselves as being interested enough to be a customer by the end. That's the funnel shape. So it's possibly best to talk a little bit about how we do this already. So here's the goal. Here's the big vision of what I'm hoping to accomplish with funnels. I want to be able to take a domain name, develop a website on it, do that once, and then plug some copywriting, some videos, some images into the marketing funnel that works on similar domain names, and then walk away and let that marketing funnel do its thing. Fish people into the funnel, teach them about the product and why it matters, and then out the other side, we want revenue to come out. Hopefully that makes sense. Like, we want all this to happen with as little effort from me or anyone in the office. We want it to be as automated as possible. I think that's kind of the goal. So that's what we're after. So currently with towing.com, we have a funnel that's built out. We have top of funnel ads that run. I don't have a way to kind of show you this, but we have an ad that runs to people that look like they're interested in automotive and towing. And those ads are very broad. They go out to just thousands and thousands of people every single day. And they say something along the lines of, hey, breaking down sucks. And when you break down and you need to find a towing company, go to towing.com. So we are advertising specifically. We're talking about the problem that the public may have that's in relation to towing. And our assumption that we make is that towing companies will be interested in whatever this solution is because they're a towing company, and so all these different people are coming in and clicking to go to towing.com. Well, from there, what we do is they click, they come into towing.com. Now the public is going to go search maybe for a towing company because they need a service. They need an auto repair or something. Now the towing companies, and this is kind of this is a little bit of a genius on the way funnels work. Towing companies will specifically go to, they might do a search, they might do things that the public does, but they specifically will come and then search their area and then click on a button for add my company. Okay, so they're interested not just in they're not just interested in finding a towing company, they're specifically interested in who's the competition in this area. And then they say, add my company. They're looking to see what it would take to have their company show up on that list. And now we know that they're no longer that public. They've now self-qualified. They've kind of tagged themselves as a towing company. Now we can show them completely different ads. No longer is it find a towing company here. It's, hey, towing.com is able to get your towing company more business. So we've moved them down the funnel. Hopefully that makes sense. If we were doing juice cleanses, we might offer free information on a juice cleanse. And then when they come in, we might ask them for an email address to send them a free pamphlet of a couple 48-hour juice cleanses or something they could do at home with stuff in their own cupboard. And then from there, we might decide or have shown that those people are going to be the ones that are interested in paying $20 for this juice cleanse package, or $50 for this, or for maybe a subscription to get a juice cleanse ingredients or something sent to them on a monthly basis. But it's all starting with kind of, hey, are you interested in this? Are you interested in this? Are you this kind of person? All the way down the funnel. So in our towing example, we cast out something to the public. They came to the site, and now they're qualifying and they're showing that they are a towing company, or that we perceive them as a towing company because they went to a page that is like add your company. And now we will do more about how, towing.com helps them get more business. And then as far as product, we're going to be showing testimonials. We're going to be showing them demos. We're going to be talking about the value of the site. Basically anything and everything to help them understand how winning towing companies are on towing.com, because we help them generate business using towing.com and our other domain names to get them an advantage to win more business on the internet. So that's kind of the language that we use, our unique selling proposition, our USP that we're talking over and over and over again. You can do this kind of thing with any domain name. Now, whether you can duplicate it over and over rapidly is yet to be seen. That's kind of what we're trying to figure out as we go, is how quickly can we duplicate the marketing. Now, I will also say that I have I've down to 3 candidates that we've been trying to hire, really high quality digital marketers. And I'm down to my final 3 candidates, and they're starting over the next couple of weeks to dive in. And so we'll see. The goal is to be able to have something for you that we talk about on the show that would be like, hey, you got your domain name, you did some basic development, and here's how you can market it. Hopefully you'd be interested in that. Let me apply something I talk about here. If I was to have a marketing funnel that was able to take a domain name and find customers, would that be something you'd be interested in, 1, knowing, and 2, possibly paying for? Right? We talk about the if I do this, will you do that? Anyhow, I love this stuff. Okay, so let's do another 3-minute business plan, just to mix it up, shake it up a little bit. And for this 3-minute business plan, so we're going to get a little, roasted coffee beans was a little less expensive, but now we can try to, let's go with SEO. We'll go with this one here. SEO, this is not my favorite domain name. I sometimes rate, let me press the right buttons here. I sometimes rate and review some of the domains that come on here. So for example, juicecleanse.com, I think a development score on that is going to be like a 9. Like, it's just a matter of what price you can get that domain for. If you can get it, like right now it's starting to push the edge of what it's going to be like a good value for. But man, if you can get that domain name, if you could have purchased juicecleanse.com for $6K or less, then realistically you can probably get a business that's able to generate, because that's $500 a month. Can you generate $500 a month free and clear with that domain name? Over the course of a year, that would be pretty easy. Now, as you go above that, you increase your risk. So, long story short, Juice Cleanse, if you can get it for $6,000 or less, I would give that like a Drew score of 9 on development. And then what was the other one? Roasted Coffee Beans. That one's a good domain name. It's currently cheap. I'm guessing it's going to go for I'd estimate that if you can get that one for $1,200 or less, that one's probably going to be like an 8. So hopefully that makes sense. I know it does. I know you guys are all smart. Only smart people watch this show. It's true story. Okay, it's good to be back. Good to be back to full. Okay, so SEO digital agency, it's starting to clock on this one. So I mentioned the Drew scores because this one's going to have a much lower score. Currently, it's $12 over on GoDaddy Auctions. And so let me do what I've been doing on a couple of the other ones. Let me pull up the keyword search here, SEO. Spelling it right. Okay. Notoriously poor speller. So there are people that are searching for this identical keyword, and actually the UK has even a little bit more. But these are low numbers. These are really not setting any records as far as volume of searches. But there are searches. So there are people. But look at this, cost per click. We're talking close to $10 that people are paying to participate in the community that is SEO Digital Agency. I don't like the word digital in there. That's what kills this as far as me and the value of this domain name. The authority takes a major hit by having digital in there. If you can have SEO agency, it would be a significantly higher price domain name, significantly higher authority, scarcity, all the things we look for in a developable domain. I don't know, is there a word that means that? Okay. So, but SEO digital agency, you probably get this one for a little bit on the cheap side. And this one, I'm just going to go with my pride, my typical development, which is a directory of SEO agencies. There's all kinds of agencies out there, from one-man shows to large agencies that their entire thing is to help small businesses generate SEO traffic and awareness. So in those cases, they would probably be interested in getting SEO digital agency or showing up on your website. So you would build a membership community-based site, a portal to the SEO agency industry, and then they would pay you some low monthly or annual fee to be listed there. And then all the way back to, week 2 or 3, we talked about the local Legion 300 in the United States. There's over 300 cities with more than 100,000 as their population. So basically, you just need to find 300 agencies, spread one in each of those cities to be listed on your site. That gives you your first 300 customers. So now you just got $20 per month per company. It puts together some pretty good drippage, that monthly income that we're looking for, that passive income. Ideally, the less, the better. On a domain name like this, the value is going to be less. So that makes it a little bit difficult. So you might have to develop a little bit better of a site. So directory, membership portal, where digital agencies appear on the site. So now they can be like, hey, I'm Drew's SEO company, and we are featured on SEOdigitalagency.com. You can see our profile, our reviews, our company over there, and it adds that third party, that authority that we talk about with the domain name to what they do. So there you go, SEOdigitalagency.com. So as far as a rating on a domain name like that, even if you get it on the cheaper side, because of digital being tossed in there, it really reduces the development value. There's a lot of other domain names that I would prefer to have. And because of that, I'm going to put that one, I'm going to dock that one. I'm going to just call it, let's say it a 1. On a scale of 0 to 10, that one's going to be like a 1. You can you can build something on it, but it's more towards the side of you're going to have to put more effort into it. It doesn't have that authoritative domain name that you can go to any SEO guy and be like, you want to be on this site? And they'll be like, you got that domain name? Yeah, I want to be on that site. Hopefully that makes sense. That's what we're going for. We're going for that easy win. Everyone wants to be on that site because it just makes sense. Like Andrew Rosner, Drew Rosner, who owns Drew.com. If he was to come to me, and I mess with him on Twitter all the time, but if he was to come to me, like, hey man, $20, you can have this and that. Like, freaking yeah. Like, Drew.com. I'm Drew. I want to be on the site too. It's like, let's share that out. Okay. How about a drink of coffee? I get all wound up. So let me give you an update on trackingprograms.com. Let me see. How can I do this here? Let me test this button and see if this button works. This button work? Okay. So trackingprograms.com is this site here that we have been kind of developing out. And basically what it is I took $255 out of, we bought this for $255, and then kind of live here on the show, we've, so far we got the domain name over to leadpages.com, and then we put this really simple site up on it. I've not even spell checked it. I'm only 80% sure it's correct. And then now there is this form here where when someone fills out this form, And all they're saying with this is, I'm interested in knowing more about what's happening on trackingprograms.com. So I am going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I am going to go over to, well, maybe. I'm going to go over and see if anybody, if how we're doing on that. So right now we have Google Tag Manager loaded on it. That's going to allow us to, we've loaded into Google Tag Manager a tag for Google Analytics, and I believe Active Campaign. And so that's going to allow us to track emails, which we're not doing anything with yet. But then it's also going to show us if we have any traffic through Google Analytics for that domain name. And then we have anyone who fills out that form will go into a waiting list for tracking programs. And right now there's no one. No one has, 0 people have submitted that form currently. So not a big shocker. But well, I was hoping to have a couple people that were in there that we could reach out to at some point and then have a conversation with them. You're welcome to sign up as well. I'll probably tell that it's somebody with Domain to Profit, but what I'm looking for is somebody that has an email address that has tracking, GPS, something in it. When they fill out that form, I'm going to have a conversation with them, try to talk about how they can partner with the site. And I believe I did add, okay, I did. I added a little block of text down here that kind of says, hey, if you found this site and you're interested in being a partner, contact us over on movingsites.com. I've spent a total of like 2 hours and 40 minutes on this site so far. So I'm 2 hours, 40 minutes in, $255 in, and right now we're just kind of in a waiting pattern, waiting for the site to get a little bit of track, get a little basic stuff, have somebody show interest. Now, what could we do? One, we could do several things right now. We could start making calls. Like, let's say you're all in on this domain name and you have to do something with it. You can start making calls to GPS tracking, fleet tracking software places and be like, hey, got this domain name, want to put your company up there for your service. And we're going to be developing it out. We got all these big plans, but right now we're just kind of looking for those who are early adopters, early participants, and maybe pay us, $50, like some small amount, and we put an ad up on that site. You can do that, kind of get a little bit of revenue, break even. If we put another probably 3 hours into just doing calls and some cold emails, we would easily be able to recover that $255 we spent so far, and then we have probably about $15, $20 a month for lead pages hosting. So, and that's, you can find cheaper options as well. So, so really not much to share as far as tracking programs goes, but I want to keep an eye on that domain, kind of keep it updated, because it is a little bit of a model domain that we're doing really only here on the show. Next steps for the domain, I doubt there'll be anything over the next week, but one thing I will do is I'm going to end up adding the Google Pixel, the Facebook Pixel. That's going to allow us to see, to tag people that come by the site, and then we'll be able to build out some funnel stuff with Facebook. So that's one of the things that we talk about. Those people who come to trackingprograms.com, they are getting tagged. They're getting tagged as visiting the site, tracking programs. So we can kind of say anyone who has visited trackingprograms.com, they can see a certain ad. We can communicate them to them in a certain way. Like, so whether, where you fall on this whole, Facebook tracking, pixels, these things, what it allows us as a marketer to do is talk to them as if we know them more, because we kind of do. We know that they've went to certain pages and done certain things. And, of course, you can always use those kinds of things for not necessarily good purposes, but we're good marketers. Be a good marketer. So show them stuff they want to see. Hopefully that's some helpful stuff. And let me see, 10 minutes. I try to keep the show down to an hour. I have one more expensive domain name that we can try to talk about to wrap this up, which is going to be a broken file. That is on me, and I'm not going to be able to finish that. So we'll just go, but we'll just do it manual. So the last domain name, I must have had a typo in my file. It's like a XML, HTML type file that I pull all the data into this video software with. The domain name is rentaflat.com, rentaflat.com. And let me go back over to, in fact, actually here it is. So rentaflat.com, there's about 1 day left. Now, and you'll see this domain name is, I've bid on this domain name. I was in at 3,200. This domain's currently 3,250 and will go for much more. The reason why it's going to go for so much more money is going to be this right here. If you're in the US, you're probably like, rent a flat, $3,000. What the heck? But if you're Lee over across the pond, you might be like, oh yeah, that's a great domain name, and here's why. If it ever shows up. Come on, SEM. Here we go. So what you'll see on this here, this is SEM Rush again. You'll see in the US it's only 1,000 searches. But in the UK, boom, 60,000 exact searches for rent a flat. So here we go. You'll see some of the keyword variations. These are low volumes here. 320, rent a flat in Paris, rent a flat in Barcelona. So these down here currently, because of my settings, are people that are in the US that are searching for these here. So they're trendy enough to, so let's switch over. Let's see what UK. So I've just switched over to UK. Let's see what UK people are searching for. Okay, maybe I'm mistaken on what this is actually showing, but so rent a flat Paris, rent a flat Barcelona, flat being an apartment, if I'm not mistaken. And so rentaflat.com is over on dropcatch.com. Dropcatch.com. They grab domain names that are somebody let expire and then they put them up for auction. So rentaflat.com, several $1,000s, and is what that's running for right now. You'll see here though, look at this cost per click. Rent a flat, 60,000. It's pretty cheap. There's not too many people that are paying big money for this keyword. I'm kind of curious what it was in the US. 90 cents in the US. So high volumes, but low price. I think as far as like a Drew development score, 3,000 is probably the max that I would ever pay for that domain, which is why I was in for exactly that. Apartment type domain names, they're just so tough because there's not too many, there's not a big market pushing apartments for lease, especially nowadays. There's, apartments are full. There's just not, anyhow. I'm speaking from Cincinnati and the U.S. terms, so I don't really know what's going on in the U.K., but the market's not there here in the U.S. to support a bunch of people wanting to pay to be listed or to show their apartment on there. So I don't see the path forward on a good business for it. Lee, you'd have to chime in to say otherwise because, you probably, well, I know you know more about that stuff than me, even if you're living out in the countryside or something. Okay, so rentaflat.com. I do like the idea of directories that show real estate for lease, for sale, and then you let the for sale by owner, for lease by owner type stuff, you let them list it there. The big guys, those big companies that have thousands and thousands of real estate units or apartment units, they have lots of places that they can go to promote their stuff. But what about the mom and pop? What about the independent people? Well, they might look for a rentaflat.com. This is one of the places that I really love geodomains. So geodomains are domain names that are location specific. So we own several here in Cincinnati, like Sharonville.com, which is where our business is located, Sharonville, just north of Cincinnati. We own a couple other cities. Like, if people are looking for a specific location, real estate is one of the primary things you can do. You can kind of build out that directory of office spaces for lease, rooms for rent, houses for rent, apartments for rent, storage, like anything that's in that location, you can build out. Real estate, office spaces especially, are one of the places. Commercial real estate there's a lot of, anyhow. Okay, I'm not diving into the market research on that, but basically commercial real estate is a good opportunity, at least here in Cincinnati, to list them on a third-party site. Right now, you pretty much have Loop. I think it's loop.net, which is commercial real estate. Super expensive to list stuff there. It's mostly made for giant office buildings and things for sale. And then you have Craigslist. There's really no in between. There's Craigslist, garbage, and then there's LoopNet, which is super expensive. So there's lots of opportunity in between. That's the marketing research that I was trying to avoid mentioning, but I went ahead and mentioned it anyways. So, okay, well, we are down to the last little bit of time, so hopefully you've gotten some value. Hopefully the little bit that we talked about as far as marketing funnels over here, talking top of funnel where we're talking about the problem to an audience and we just are trying to fish them out of the crowd into our funnel. Then we start to talk to them about the different solutions for their problems that we can offer. And then we can give them demos. We can talk about testimonials and word of mouth, ratings, reviews. We talk more about the product specifically, all of those. And then, of course, we get them to transact. That is the basics of a marketing funnel. And the hope is that we'll be able to find a marketing funnel that we'll be able to duplicate over and over and over again for each of our different kinds of business models. For example, portals and things like that we put up on these domain names that we're developing. Hope you had a good week. Hope everybody's healthy, avoiding whatever it is that's trying to attack us all the time. So, I don't know. It's good to be back. Good to be back and have so many buttons to push. I'm a big fan of this. So, one of the things I do want to do is at some point try to figure out how to bring some new faces in. I love talking to people. Talking to myself isn't. I don't know. I do that too, but still. Okay, well, everybody, thanks for joining me, and have a great week, and take care.